My daughter just recently purchased a bearded dragon. She bought it from a big box pet store. It looked healthy and was the biggest one. The first couple of days it was eating crickets. Now within the last couple of days it hasn't been eating at all. Just wondering if you could give us some tips. I subscribe to you on YouTube and Facebook, but don't really see any answers to the situation. Thanks, Denny. Hey, this is very random, but I just bought a bearded dragon yesterday from Big Box Pet Store, and I sadly am a beginner, so I googled on your videos and you're the only one that looked like they knew what they were doing. LOL, I need help. I just bought a baby dragon from another Big Box Pet Store. Yes, I saw your video literally just now. It's approximately 6 weeks old. We've had it for 1.5 to 2 weeks and it was doing okay, but this morning it wouldn't wake up, it won't eat, it's acting very weak and not sure what's going on. It won't open its eyes and it doesn't react to touch. Please help.
Hey guys, Anna just read to you what is just a small sample of the large number of messages that we get every single week here at Cold Blood Creations. People reaching out to us, asking us for help with dragons that they bought. Now the vast majority of those messages come from people who bought their dragons very, very cheaply from the big box chain style pet stores. The purpose of this video is not so much to offer help to each and every one of those individually. We're going to condense it down for time's sake and try to stop you from making a mistake before it happens. Now, we're not going to try to convince you not to buy a dragon from the big box stores. We're not going to try to convince you to buy a dragon from us. This video is simply going to be a video giving you our opinion of the various places and resources whereby you could purchase a bearded dragon, and we're going to give you the pros and the cons of each. That way you, as the consumer, can make a much more informed decision on buying your pet dragon. Basically, you're going to either be purchasing from one or two different types of people. In category number one, we have private breeders. These are people who breed and produce the animals that they sell themselves. In the other group, you're going to have retailers. Now, retailers are people who did not necessarily produce the animals that they sell, but they acquired them through some means and are therefore reselling them out to the public. Now, in the reptile community, resellers sometimes get an undeserved bad reputation. There's even a derogatory name called flippers that people like to attach to those who are selling animals that they didn't produce. Now, I don't like the use of the word flipper simply because in every other industry, we would refer to someone who sells a product that they didn't produce as a retailer, and I think that the people in the reptile community deserve the same respect. Now, while they are exceptions to the rule, generally speaking, the subcategories of a retailer is going to be your big box pet stores or your reptile specialty shops. Now, sometimes those guys will breed their own animals, although not as often, especially in the case of the big box chain stores. You also have reptile show vendors as well as online sellers, and many of those guys are going to be private breeders too, but some of them are also going to be retailers. Now, retailers are not necessarily a bad thing, and here's one of the reasons why we don't want to refer to them as flippers or to act like they have no place in the reptile community. They do serve a good purpose in the community simply for people who have a pet that they can no longer care for. Many times they will adopt these animals out to a reptile retailer who will then take the opportunity to find that reptile a new home. The same thing with some of the rescues that resell animals back out to the public because the owner, for whatever reason, can't care for them. The other time that they come in really handy is if your animal actually produces a clutch of viable eggs and you can't keep all of the offspring, you can wholesale off or adopt out to a retailer all of those babies that you couldn't keep and care for yourself. And for that reason, we do believe that retailers serve a great needed purpose in the reptile community. So we're going to start with what we consider to be absolutely the worst place to buy a pet reptile, and we're going to go to where we believe to be the best place to buy a reptile. And once again, we want to let you know this is going to be our opinion, but we're going to base it on some of the things that we've seen and some of the many emails that we have gotten from our viewers. Now, when it comes to the worst place to buy a reptile, I I would have to say the big box stores would rank right down at the bottom of the barrel, in my opinion. The reason for that is simply because, number one, many of them do not produce the animals that they sell, but not only that, they do not know much of anything about the animals that they sell either. You can walk into 5 different big box stores, ask the same question, and probably get 6 different answers from employees that have had no experience whatsoever taking care of these reptiles. Many of you watching this video know exactly what I'm saying, as you've had that very same experience. It is for that reason that I believe big box pet stores are the ones that I would steer clear of if it were me, or at least use the most caution when it comes to purchasing an animal. One of the other reasons why I don't recommend the big box pet stores is because oftentimes all the animals in all these various chain stores will come from the same source. The problem with that is, let's just say that a reptile breeder had some kind of disease or some kind of virus in their animal's supply at their breeding facility. Now that disease or that virus is going to be dispersed throughout all of the United States when they send these dragons to these various chain stores. That is another reason why I highly recommend that you be very cautious when purchasing an animal from a big box chain store. Now, I will tell you this, those of you who do decide to purchase an animal, if you have other animals in your collection already, I highly recommend that you quarantine any newly acquired reptile, especially from a big box store, for at least 6 months away from your other animals before you introduce them in even the same room. That way, if there is some kind of issue with the dragon you purchase, you don't introduce a disease or a virus into your animal collection that you have already established. One other thing that can be a negative about the big box stores is simply this. The breeder who bred those animals doesn't have to place his face, his name, or his reputation on that animal. The reason why is because no one knows exactly who's breeding animals for the big box stores. That way the dragon owner or the dragon breeder doesn't have to risk his reputation if he ships out unhealthy and poor animals. Unlike a private breeder or reptile specialty store, you're not going to get to see the person that produced that animal face to face, and therefore their reputation's on the line. That's another negative about the big box stores, because no one actually knows who's producing the animals. No one's reputation other than the store is on the line. And also another thing you want to make sure you avoid with all cost, and that is the introduction of mites into your reptile collection. Now, if I was going to purchase an animal from anybody, whether it was a vendor at a reptile show, whether it was an online dealer, I would check out their feedback. If there's anything about mites, I would proceed with the utmost amount of caution, because mites is a sure sign that you're dealing with someone who flips a lot of animals. Unlike a private breeder whose collection usually pretty much stays the same, and we're very cautious about bringing other animals in, someone who's constantly bringing in animals and seeing animals go, and their stock and inventory is constantly rotating, oftentimes will bring in and ship out a lot of mites. So that's something else you want to be careful. Check the feedback, do some research on the seller, make sure you're not introducing mites into your reptile collection. So one step up the opinion ladder here of a big box chain store is going to be the reptile rescue. I say that kind of tongue-in-cheek because there are some very good reptile rescues out there. People who are very knowledgeable, people who love the animals, and they provide a very needful service to the reptile community. And those types of rescues, my hat's off to you. You guys do a great job and are very needed. However, we have seen a lot of reptile rescues over the years that basically those animals need to be rescued from the rescue. What I mean by that is simply this. In a lot of states, there's no licensing requirements or anything for you to claim to be a rescuer. They put ads out on Craigslist and say, hey, we'll take in unwanted animals. Most of the time they get in animals that are unwanted, that have been neglected, they're sick, they're diseased, they're malnourished, and instead of being rescues that actually do something for the animal, like provide it with veterinary care, provide it with proper nutrition, and get it back up on its feet, a lot of these guys simply do nothing but take in free animals and sell them off as quickly as they can to turn a profit before the animal dies. If you're going to do any type of deals or purchases from a reptile rescue, you want to do your homework. Look into this rescue. I will tell you this. I would never take an animal from a reptile rescue that didn't ask me extensive questions about my knowledge of the reptile that I'm going to adopt before they were willing to give me an animal. Now, I've seen at reptile shows over the years, people walk up to a rescue and say, I want to adopt this bearded dragon. And they go, okay, it's 25 bucks. People think, wow, what a steal of a price. They give them the dragon without anybody even questioning the future owner as to their fitness to take an animal that is probably already very stressed and already been neglected. That's not a good idea. That's not a good rescue. Those types of people, to me, deserve the name flipper. Research really, really carefully with these people. The good ones are a step above the big box chain stores, but the flippers, I would have to put them probably even below the chain stores. So if I'm wanting to find somewhere to purchase a reptile that I would feel more comfortable, probably my second choice would be the reptile specialty stores. Reptile specialty stores a lot of times rival private breeders with their knowledge, and the reason for that is because most of your reptile specialty shops are going to be owned by people who do breed their animals. In fact, many times the animals they sell are animals that they breed, although many specialty stores will still retail animals from other suppliers. However, having the knowledge of someone that specializes in reptiles is going to be far, far more advantageous to you, the consumer, because these people specialize in an animal, they know more about the care, they know more about the requirement, and they're often staffed with people who take care of reptiles in their personal homes, and so they're able to guide you when it comes to making purchases. Also, a reptile specialty shop is going to have the caging, the lighting, the substrates, and the things that you need for the various species of reptiles that you plan to own. Just like the shop that we're in now, this place is stocked full of caging and lighting and things like that. This would be our second choice if we were going to purchase animals for our collection, would be to come to a reptile specialty store like this, simply for the fact that you get the knowledge, you get the experience, and most of the time they're only going to sell the cream of the crop reptiles that they handpick themselves, or once again, that they produce themselves. And last but not least, my number one pick for where to buy any animal is, of course, going to be from a private breeder. Now, the reason for that is because no one is going to know better how a particular species of animal should be cared for than the person whose very livelihood depends on them producing good quality, healthy animals. Now, if your reptile breeder happens to own a retail specialty store and you can get everything at one shot, more power to you. However, most specialty breeders are not going to sell a lot of dry goods. They're going to focus and specifically keep their interest on producing the best quality animals. Most of the time, specialty breeders simply do not have the time to also run a retail operation. So for that reason, if you meet and purchase from a specialty breeder, you're usually going to have to do it either online or through a reptile show like the Repticon or the Show Me Snake shows. Alright, so in the very beginning of this video, I promised you we were going to give you the pros and the cons. Now, I'm going to basically sum it up by saying this. When it comes to a big box store, the pluses are usually you're going to get your animals very, very cheaply. They're going to oftentimes be much less expensive than a private breeder or reptile specialty store. The cons to that is you're going to get what you pay for. When it comes to a reptile rescue, the pros are if you get a good rescue, you're going to provide a home for an animal that needs a good home, provided that you are equipped to take on that responsibility of an animal, like I stated earlier, that may not have had such a good start to begin with. The cons to that is that you could very well easily get an animal that is sick, that is stressed, that carries disease, and you could bring that disease back into your personal collection if you don't quarantine. When it comes to the specialty reptile store, the pluses are you're going to get a lot of experience, you're going to get the knowledge of these pet shops, and all of that is a plus, and sometimes you're even going to get to deal with someone that produced those animals themselves. The negative aspect of the specialty stores is that sadly not a lot of them exist simply because people rush to the cheaper animals in the big box stores, and the specialty stores simply have a hard time surviving because they can't compete with the cheap prices, even though many times their animals are far superior to the cheaper priced animals. They just simply can't survive, and therefore you may have to travel a good ways to get to a good reptile specialty store. Now, when it comes to private breeders, the pluses are no one's going to know their animals or their animals' lineage better. No one's going to know better about the care and maintenance of those animals than a private breeder. Although when it comes to the negatives, you're going to have to incur shipping costs. Most of the time those animals are going to have to be shipped to you. Although when you think about the price of going to a reptile store, or a reptile expo rather, paying the gas money to get there, paying the admission fee to get in, oftentimes the shipping of a private breeder versus going into a reptile show equals off about the same. So maybe for you that's not a negative, but certainly for some people paying upwards to $65, $70 for overnight shipping certainly could be a negative. But once again, you get what you pay for in terms of quality of animals. And because breeders are going to be very limited at time, guys, be respectful of their time. Don't be like this person.
Anna speaking.
Hey, man, is this the Cool Bros Creations?
Yes, sir, it is. How can I help you?
Look here, man, I was looking at your website and I saw this dragon. I think I want to buy it, but like, can you guys send me maybe 30 extra pictures of that dragon, man?
Sir, we provide plenty of pictures for every animal that we have on the website. There's really no need for us to take any more for you.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, I realize that, but, you know, if I had like 30 more pictures, then maybe I could get an idea of what the animal really looks like, man.
Sir, with all due respect, you can see every inch of the animal in the pictures we put on the website.
Can you tell me, what's this dragon eating?
Sir,
I need to know what I gotta feed it, man.
if you don't know what the animal eats, you should probably do some research before you actually buy it.
Hey, can I, like, do they eat chips?
What?
No, they don't eat chips.
Hey, can you maybe give me a list of like everything that I need to buy, like the cage and the lights?
Sir, if you check out our YouTube channel, we have YouTube videos covering every single one of these topics because it would take me a very long time to tell you everything over the phone that you'll need for this dragon.
Hey, listen, man, do y'all do trades and stuff?
Yeah, we would trade dragons for money.
I gotta tell you what, man, look, I don't mean to waste your time. I appreciate it and all. Listen, let me go ahead. I get with my wife because she the one got the job, man. I had to get back to y'all. Later.
Bye.
All right, guys, we just want to say a special thank you for watching this video. We hope you guys enjoyed it.
And if you did, make sure that you give it a thumbs up and don't forget to check us out on Instagram and Facebook. You guys have a Merry Christmas. My daughter just recently purchased a bearded dragon. She bought it from Big Box Pet Store. I just bought a baby dragon from
Unnamed Big Box Pet Store.
Can we just go ahead and go for it?
So when it comes to purchasing, So when it comes to making a purchase, y'all need to start making some purchases.
I think it's safe to say now you cannot make fun of me. It's taking forever to get a shot.
Here we go. Come on, Anna. Ready?
Wait, what?
And like a good neighbor, you stay over there.
Including you.